Hi, I'm Dan, and welcome to my review of the new Jackass movie, Jackass Forever. Hey guys, Dan here, and yes, welcome to my review of Jackass Forever. This is the new film in the series, in theaters now, the fourth movie overall with the Jackass name, but the fifth really in the universe because of that bad grandpa movie Johnny Knoxville did. I guess everything's got to be a universe now, so it's the Jackass universe. But this is, of course, a movie version, another movie version, I should say, of the TV show from about 20 years ago that premiered on MTV. So popular, Johnny Knoxville and Steve-O, and a lot of your favorites are back. Bam is not here. You may have read about that, but everybody else is in tow, and some new members as well, because let's face it, these guys are getting up there. They're in their 40s now, so it's hard for them to do all these stunts themselves, so there's a few new recruits to the team as well. So before we get started, I want to welcome you into Dan Reviews, and thank you for finding this video, and hopefully you enjoy it. If you do, please consider subscribing down below there. Would love to have you aboard, and like the video too. That helps the channel. Commenting helps the channel as well, so all of that stuff. So yes, this is the new Jackass movie, and I guess first I'll tell you a little bit about my history with the format, because I don't have a very rich knowledge of all the Jackass stuff. I really did not have cable when the show first came out, and I just never really caught on to the momentum of it. I sort of think, guys hitting themselves and hurting themselves purposely. I don't particularly usually find that amusing. It's the same reason I don't watch America's Funniest Home Videos. We get it. You got hit in the crotch. It's funny. But I guess for me, when I go to the movies, I like a little bit more of a story or whatever. That's sort of why I like the Bad Grandpa movie a little bit, because it did have it was a pretty thin story, but it had a story. And, of course, it was, Johnny Knoxville's one character the whole time. Where here, it's just basically vignettes. It's, stunt after stunt after stunt, but there's no really connecting thing except for the fact that they're doing these stunts together and, having a good time and everything. So, this is the first, actually, Jackass movie in full that I've seen. I've seen clips of the show and clips of, I guess, probably some of the other movies. But I've never, sat down and said, okay, I'm going to watch this movie. So take that for what it's worth. That I don't necessarily know if I even really consider this a movie, because it's just really sort of vignettes and skits, and people hurting each other and themselves and whatever. But I have to admit, there's some funny stuff here. I mean, I've always liked Johnny Knoxville as a person. Whenever I see him on a talk show or whatever, he's always funny. He's a likable dude. So it was certainly not him that ever really turned me off to the Jackass idea. It's just, there's so many times in this movie where I had to sort of, either cover my eyes or wince or whatever. There's a lot of penis stuff in the movie. If you're a fan of, people hurting their genitalia, then this would be right up your alley. Putting a whole host of bees onto Steve-O's penis. If that's if that's amusing, then I think people know what they're getting into with these movies. I have the feeling that either you love Jackass or you don't. I personally, if I wasn't trying to see every movie and trying to review all the movies, I wouldn't have sought this out. This is not something that I really get into. But I have to admit, it is funny. A lot of the gags they do are funny. Some of them I don't really care for, and that's sort of the hindrance of a movie like this, where not necessarily you're only as strong as your weakest, skit, and I keep calling them skits. They're really stunts, I guess. But they are sort of served up in little skit-like bites, I suppose. But anyway, yeah, you're only as strong as your weakest stunt, I guess. I wouldn't necessarily say that, because some of these fly by so quickly. There's some things that are only maybe 90 seconds, 2 minutes. that sort of just, we come and we go. And then there's others that will last, maybe 5 minutes. So the whole thought process of them taking this to the big screen in the first place was, oh, we can have nudity, and it's mostly male nudity, and oh, we can curse a lot, and they won't have to beep us like they do on MTV, and it's fine. So a lot of the stunts and stuff are really pretty similar to what you would see on the show, but just sort of skipped up dramatically for the nudity and the cursing effect. Which for me is fine. I don't really care. I was less incensed with people bringing their young kids into this over the weekend than they do, with the bad horror, like Halloween or Scream or something where there's a bunch of killing. This is just a bunch of idiot dudes hanging out, having a good time, being funny. And it's really more of like an amped up Three Stooges, when it comes down to it. And I'm a Stooges fan, right? But of course they all had plot lines, as silly as they were, they did. But look, this was directed by sort of the Jackass master. Jeff Tremaine helped co-create the show with Johnny Knoxville. And I don't know if he's directed all the movies. I assume he probably has. I didn't look into that. But I know that he helped co-create the show. So he's been a part of this universe for a long time. And, Johnny Knoxville still is involved in a lot of these stunts, although sometimes he sort of, takes a side seat. There's a game show type thing that he hosts where if you get it wrong, you get, a sort of kick in the crotch, really, by this machine. And he just hosts it and has a good time, laughing at everybody. But look, that's sort of how the show was. Johnny didn't do every single thing himself, right? That was the whole point. Now, Bam not being in the movie, I don't care about that. I've read sort of the history on that, and he ended up being fired from the production while they were, had already started filming because he was just drunk all the time and showing up not in the right state of mind for this kind of behavior, for these stunts. You got to show up, with your mind intact if you're going to tackle these stunts, and he just wasn't. And sometimes he wouldn't show up at all. So, so I do have an affinity for Bam. He comes from the town that my parents live in now, Westchester, Pennsylvania, and he's sort of known as a good dude, and that's great. But obviously he's got his demons, and Johnny Knoxville had to move forward with the production. I like Steve-O. I like some of these other guys as well. Wee Man is in it. Always liked him. So look, I have to say, I didn't love this movie. It's getting very, very high praise. I think it's at 89 or 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics are loving this movie more than any of the others. And I think part of it is the reason I liked it, which is that after, the pandemic and after being away from each other for so long, and it is actually kind of nice and refreshing to see these guys who have been friends for 20 plus years just being dum-dums together and having a good time together. And yes, I am not positive that these movies are like actual movies because it's just these little vignettes, but it's funny. It's kind of infectious. They're laughing, and so we want to laugh. We want to be in on it. We want to be, one of the guys, right? And so for that, I can't give this a negative grade. It's a little bit higher than that for me. I do think some of the stunts for sure are not for my taste. There's a lot of the more, insect-based ones. Like there's a spider one that like it just creeps me out, all the same stuff that used to creep me out when I would watch like Survivor or Amazing Race, when they would do something just, when they had to eat something or whatever. I got those same feelings watching this. But overall, look, this is a fun time at the movies. I think if you don't like Jackass, you're not going to go see it anyway. If you do like Jackass, you're going to love this more than I did. But even still, I liked it enough. So I'm going to leave Jackass Forever with a B. That's going to do it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here next time. Bye.